Our presentation is on Protista microbes. The Protista kingdom includes algae and 4 different classes of protozoa. These organisms are neither plants or animals. A great majority of these organisms are unicellular. 4 types of animal-like protists include sarcodinas, ciliates, flagellates, and sporozoans. Algae comes in many different sizes from micrometers to 100 meters. Algae forms in marine habitats and provide the basis of the food web. Algae forms on rocks, soil, and plants. Algae get their nutrition from photosynthesizing with the sun with chlorophyll. Algae have simple reproductive structures such as eggs and zygotes. Algae have a haploid kind of life and can live years. Some examples of algae are dinoflagellates, diaptomids, kelps, and chlorophyta. Algae examples. In the first picture, we have chlorophyta, and it shows the reproductive parts. In the second picture, it is an example of dinoflagellates. The bloom causes what is known as a red tide. This form of algae can release toxins and give food poisoning to those who consume seafood. Protozoan means first animal. The cells contain a nucleus. They lack cell walls. They are heterotrophs. Most can move all on their own. And they behave like tiny animals that hunt and gather other microbes as food. Sarcodina are the largest phylum. They are unicellular, jelly-like protozoa that are commonly found in fresh or seawater as well as in moist soil. Their bodies lack periplasm. This means they can be naked or covered by a calcareous shell. Sarcodinas use temporary projections called pseudopodia for locomotion. This is because they usually lack flagella for important tasks like traveling and eating. These organisms produce both sexually and asexually. Sarcodinas include free-living forms such as amoeba or parasitic forms such as entamoeba. Sarcodinas are holozoic in nutrition. They feed on algae, bacteria, protozoans, and organic debris. Pseudopodia are also useful for feeding. The pseudopod is sticky and mesh-like and captures the prey as with a net. Contractile vacuoles are used to pump out excess water. The sarcodina moves by extending the cytoplasm. When the endoplasm in the inner cytoplasm pushes the outer cytoplasm forward to make a rounded arm-like extension, then pseudopodia form. They reproduce sexually by singamy fusion of 2 gametes and asexually by division or budding. Some sarcodinas have flagella during certain stages of their development. In other groups, flagellated and non-flagellated generations alternate. Sarcodinas may be either solitary or colonial. Most sarcodinas are free-living, feeding on bacteria, algae, other protozoans, or organic debris. However, some are parasitic on plants or animals. The genera are distinguished by the structure of their pseudopodia. Rhizopoda, example of sarcodina. All are unicellular, some have shells. They are characterized by the possession of pseudopodia, which are used for locomotion and engulfing food particles. They can be parasites, which can be spread through drinking water, eating utensils, or food. Rhizopods are found in fresh water and marine habitats and the soil. Most are heterotrophs and eat bacteria, other protists, and dead organic matter. Ciliates. Ciliates have numerous amounts of cilia on their cell surface that beat back and forth, which enables them to move. Ciliates reproduce asexually by division, and they can also reproduce sexually by conjugation. Most are heterotrophs, meaning that they feed off smaller organisms that are swept into the mouth by oral cilia. These protists can be found in any source of fresh water, such as ponds, lakes, and rivers. An example of a ciliate would be Vorticella. Sporozoa. Sporozoa are unicellular, non-motile, parasitic, and spore-forming. They have sexual and asexual stages in their lives. They get their name from their ability to form spore-like cells. They do not have flagella, cilia, pseudopodia, and are able to glide. Sporozoans are parasites of animals and cause diseases. They have a cellular structure called an apical complex, which secretes enzymes allowing them to enter host cells. In most cases, the host becomes infected by ingesting cysts, which then produce sporozoites. By dividing, then these sporozoites enter the host cell. The cell will eventually burst, producing merozoites, which will then go on to infect new cells. This process happens several times until gametes are produced. Gametes produce gametes, which fuse to create new cysts, and the cycle goes on. In many cases, sporozoans will have more than one host. A common sporozoan is Plasmodium, which causes malaria. Diseases caused by protozoan parasites: malaria, Chagas disease, leishmaniasis, and amoebic dysentery. Flagellates. A cell or organism with one or more external body parts that protrude from the body called flagella. Flagella are supported by microtubules in a characteristic arrangement with 9 fused pairs surrounding 2 central singlets which arise from a basal body. Flagella often supports hairs called mastagoniums or contain rods. Among protists and microscopic animals, a flagella is an organism with one or more flagella. Flowering plants do not produce flagellated cells, but ferns, mosses, green algae, and some gymnosperms do. Most fungi do not produce cells with flagella, but the primitive fungal chytrids do. Flagella are generally used for propulsion and reproduce by binary fission. Flagellates are the major consumers of primary and secondary production in aquatic ecosystems, consuming bacteria and other protists. Flagellates. They may be solitary, colonial, free-living, or parasitic. Parasitic forms live in the intestine or bloodstream of the host. Many others live as plankton in both salt and freshwater. In some flagellates, flagella direct food into a cytosome or mouth where food is ingested. Malaria. It is caused by the protozoan parasite Plasmodium. 4 species are known to infect humans: P. falciparum, P. malariae, P. ovale, and P. vivax. The parasite infects female Anopheles mosquitoes. The disease is then spread to humans through mosquito bites. Symptoms of malaria include fever, chills, weakness, vomiting, organ failure, and even death in severe cases. Chagas disease. It is caused by the protozoan parasite Trypanosoma cruzi. The parasite infects an insect called a triatomine bug. The bugs then infect people with the disease by biting them and then defecating on them. If the defecation enters any of the mucous membranes, then the person becomes infected. Symptoms include fever, body aches, diarrhea, vomiting, and in severe cases, cardiac and gastrointestinal issues. Leishmaniasis. It is caused by the protozoan Leishmania parasites. There are more than 20 species that can cause human infection. The parasites infect phlebotomine sandflies, which then in turn will infect humans after biting them. The most common forms of leishmaniasis include cutaneous and visceral leishmaniasis. Symptoms include stuffy nose, difficulty swallowing and breathing, and skin lesions that can ulcerate. Amoebic dysentery, caused by the protozoan parasite Entamoeba histolytica. The parasite enters the body via the fecal-oral route. A person must ingest fecal-contaminated food or water. The symptoms include fever, chills, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and stool containing blood or mucus. This disease can easily be treated with antibiotics.